We'll do that again. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order at 7:34 of the January 22nd, 2020 first meeting of this year. Board of Commissioners, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Gershenson? Here. Gingell? Hoffman? Here. Jackson? Kokendorfer?
Here.
Kowal? Here. Kuhn?
Here.
Long?
Here.
Loops? Here. Markham? McGilvray?
Here.
Middleton? Here. Miller? Here. Nelson? Here. Powell? Here. Quarles? Quarles? No. Spiz?
Here.
Taub?
Here.
Whitebird?
Here.
Woodward?
Here.
Zach? Here. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to invite the Honorable Commissioner Shelley Taub to give the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please rise.
Please rise. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We start a very, very important session tonight because 200 years ago, in 1820, right after I was born, Lewis Cass, who was the first governor of Michigan, decided that this place called Oakland County would exist, and he created two townships, Pontiac Township and Bloomfield Township. And in March, the county was made official, and they started to build a courthouse. The first courthouse was finished in the summer of 1820. The bottom floor was a jail. They put planks over the dirt. The top floor was where all the meetings were held, and court was held. And they actually did some business that very first day. They swore in one attorney and two pub owners. With that, let us pray that those of us who represent people of Oakland County remember that we serve all of the county, all of the people in Oakland County, and not just our own personal agendas. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Born and unborn. It's going to be it. All right, thank you, Commissioner Taub, and reminding that this marks also the beginning of the bicentennial of Oakland County, and it's so great to see so many people from all across the county and other places to join us this evening as we commence the business of the people of Oakland County. First up, we've got, we need to approve the minutes for the December 12th, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Commissioner Long, seconded by Commissioner Quarles. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The minutes are adopted. Next, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr.
Moved by
Chairman?
Commissioner McGilvray.
Yes, I'd like to amend the agenda to add resolution number 19416, Board of Commissioners adoption of responsible contractor and best value bid evaluation standards for construction projects. It was brought up earlier in a meeting prior to the board meeting tonight.
Okay, the agenda moved with that change, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda is approved. And moving on. Communications. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
We have a few this evening. The first dated January 22nd, 2020 to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, the following report has been delivered to the Board of Commissioner offices from Great Lakes Economic Consulting. Their charge was to review current and recent county general fund balances, revenue forecasts, and budget proposals to present options on improving Oakland County's budgetary and legislative processes and procedures. Please accept this process and procedure review report on behalf of Great Lakes Economic Consulting. Sincerely, Chris Ward, Chief of Staff, Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Next one is also dated January 22nd, 2020, to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, I am hereby appointing the following individuals to serve on the Oakland County Historical Commission for a term ending December 31st, 2022. Jordan Belland, Richard Stamps, Melissa Luginski. Your confirmation of this appointment is respectfully requested. Sincerely, David T. Woodward, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners. And the final one is also dated January 22nd. Well, that's got a typo. To the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, please accept this letter as notification that I have exercised the authority granted under the provisions of the board rules for the purposes of meeting a submission deadline that shall be granted authority to approve grant applications in excess of $250,000. The grant application deadline for the 2020 medical marijuana operation and oversight grant was January 1st, 2020. The Oakland County Health Department Health Division has prepared a grant application on behalf of the Oakland County in the amount of $451,374. Due to the changes in the board's grant submission process and the board calendar, it was not possible for the department to submit the application for full board consideration in accordance with our normal procedures. The application was reviewed by all appropriate county departments. I have authorized the submission of this grant application. Sincerely, David T. Woodward, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners. And that's it for tonight.
All right, motion to receive and file the communications. Moved by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The communications are received. Moves us on to, we have two proclamations and one presentation this evening. I would like to invite up the Honorable Commissioner Angela Powell from Pontiac with a special proclamation.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So today I am having the honor of honoring Devin Holmes, who is a football player and attends Bloomfield Hills High School. The unique thing about this individual is that he's deaf. And he made the team, and he's an African American. And just to give you a little background about me, I'm a CODA. I'm a child of a deaf adult. My parents are deaf, and my dad and my mom is sitting over there. And just to give you a little background, my father attended Michigan School for the Deaf years ago. I'm not going to tell your age, Dad, but he attended there, and he played football, track, and basketball. Football, they were undefeated, and I found out this information from our interpreter here, Tammy. Her father and my father both played at MSD. But the good thing is my dad made it to the Olympics for track. And just so you all know, so we honor their culture, if you all could applaud this way, so that they understand and see the support that they're getting today. So now I'm going to read the proclamation. Oakland County, let me back up. So in Oakland County, the deaf and hard of hearing students have to attend Bloomfield Hills Public Schools. They are the only school that house those students here, and if they don't go to Bloomfield and they live in Oakland County, they have to go to MSD or another county school. So also, I wanted to say that because even though Devin attends Bloomfield Hills, he's a deaf individual, and he lives in Southfield. I'm presenting this proclamation on behalf of some of my co-commissioners as well, Commissioner Quarles, Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Gershenson. Right here. Oh, right there, and Commissioner Todd. So we're doing this as a joint effort. So, Oakland County Board of Commissioners proclamation honoring Devin Holmes, whereas Oakland County is very proud of the dedicated and noteworthy young athletes who represent themselves, their teams, and their schools with honor and integrity on and off the field. And whereas senior Devin Holmes of the Bloomfield Hills Blackhawks High School football team is a shining example of one such individual. Devin, who has been deaf since birth, has invested incredible time and energy into overcoming the challenges associated with being a deaf athlete. Through his tireless determination, hard work, and heart, along with his natural talent for the game, Devin has become not just a skilled and valuable player, but has risen to the position of team captain. Sorry, I got to catch myself. And whereas, although football has long been a part of his life, Devin first played on a formal team when he joined the Southfield Ravens at the age of 12. His first practice was really tough, but his mother, Gail, encouraged him to stick with it and give football a fair shot because she believed in the value of participating in a team sport. After his second practice, he was hooked, and the Ravens coach, Tyrone Burks, welcomed him with open arms. Recognizing right away that Devin had a great character and was a hard worker, Devin went on to impress Coach Burke on and off the field. And whereas this season was Devin's third year on the Bloomfield Hills varsity football team, and his second as a starter on a defensive line, at 6 feet tall and 285 pounds, he is a dominating, hear that, dominating presence on the field. As Captain Coach Dan Laura, I'm sorry if I, Loria, has seen Devin earn the trust and respect of his teammates who rally behind him in leadership, drive, and energy. And whereas playing a varsity sport as a deaf athlete comes with a unique set of challenges, including being unable to hear the whistle during a game, and Devin has had to find new and creative ways to communicate. Integral to his success on that front has been Al Kettinger, who is in his 36th year as a sign language interpreter for the district. Al has worked with football players for more than 20 years and helped Devin navigate communication with coaches and teammates at practices and during football games. And whereas after graduating, Devin hopes, well, let me change that. He just got accepted today. Devin hopes to play football at Gallaudet University, but he's going. Congratulations. In Washington, D.C., it is the only university in the world where all of the programs are designed to accommodate deaf and hard of hearing students. One day, Devin dreams of being a coach himself and has taken his first steps down the path to helping his old teams, the Ravens, since the summer. He hopes to inspire those young athletes to play in high school and maybe even college after they graduate. And whereas we join with Bloomfield Hills High School students and faculty, the Blackhawks players and coaches, and all of Devin's family and friends to recognize his remarkable achievements as a player and an individual. Now, therefore, David T. Woodward, our chairman of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, and commissioners, Marsha Gershenson, Angela Powell, Janet Jackson, Nancy Curls, and Shelley Goodman Todd do hereby proclaim special commendations to Devin Holmes. We wish him continued success in all of his future endeavors. So please let me welcome Devin Holmes. You gonna voice for him? Okay. She gonna. Thank you so much for bringing me here. You gotta do the mic. Sorry.
I can be loud. Thank you so much for bringing me here. Happy to meet all of you. Thank you for the honor. I did really work in Bloomfield for 4 years. This is my senior year, and before I graduate, I appreciate the support and the honor, and I couldn't believe I got made on newspaper, TV. Thank you for Coach Loria, who believed in me and wanted to give me the captain position and respected me and knew that I could be a leader with integrity. And thank you for John Seiko, the trainer, and the principal, Hollerith, and helping me to succeed. Thank you.
Can I ask my co-commissioners who's sponsoring this with me to come up so we can take a picture? Thank anyone, so invite them all up for the picture? Okay, yep, school, oh Lord, I don't know how many it is of you all, but if you would like to come and take a picture with us, we would love for you to come up with us, and I thank any of the school, family, everyone who came, thank you so much. We're gonna stand in the front.
Shelley, picture. Get in the front. Wonderful. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Thank you all for allowing me to honor Mr. Holmes, and good luck at Gallaudet.
Good luck. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Thank you, Commissioner Powell, for bringing recognition of the incredible talent that makes this county an amazing place. Our next proclamation, I would like to invite Commissioners Tom Middleton and Commissioner Hoffman forward to present a proclamation to LC Scramlin.
We don't know how to break this to LC, but we have to explain to him that all you people aren't here for him. He really thought, wow. Anyway, we are honored to give this proclamation to LC Scramlin, and Tom Middleton and I would like to read this. Whereas many of the qualities of life we enjoy in Oakland County, well, first I want to point out too, this is the smallest printing proclamation I've ever seen. And I think it's because he's done a lot of stuff. Whereas many of the qualities of life we enjoy in Oakland County are due to the commitment and contributions of special individuals such as LC Scramlin, who have worked to make the best better in their communities, and whereas from the very beginning, Elsie Scramlin was destined to be an Oakland County 4-H'er. Elsie was raised on a 400-acre dairy farm in Groveland Township and was the youngest of 5 children. His grandfather started a local 4-H club in the 1920s, and both of his parents served as 4-H leaders. 4-H was such an integral part of Elsie's life that he learned the 4-H pledge even before he started kindergarten. And whereas Elsie was a participant in the 4-H dairy program for 10 years, during that time he served as president of the Oak Hill 4-H Club, was a state award winner in agriculture, and participated in National 4-H Club Congress and 4-H Citizenship Short Course. In 1967, while president of the Oakland County 4-H Service Club, Elsie built a food stand trailer that brought in $6,000 annually in sales to support the local 4-H program. Whereas the aging of the youth program, Elsie continued to be involved in 4-H as a volunteer. When the Oakland County Fair needed a new livestock building in 1986, Elsie accepted the challenge. In less than a year, he raised $62,000 as chair of the Livestock Challenge with the help of 31 4-H volunteers. The 4-H barn was constructed. Go ahead.
I was supposed to take the 5th one. So. As Bob was reading that, the Scramlin family and the Middleton family were always competitors at the fair. And they seemed that I was the same age as Elsie's older brother. My youngest brother was good friends and competitor. And we would compete fiercely with our animals to try to be the best. But then once we left Oakland County and we went to the state shows, then we were Oakland County, and we would try to beat any other county in the state. So we had great rivalry. When you talk about the food stand, I was in charge of the food stand a few years earlier. We worked out of a tent. And when LC got to be chairman of the service club, he moved to have a trailer to work out of, and much better, a lot easier, and that lasted for a lot of years. So I'll go on with the tribute. Why doesn't Gary and Chris come up? They're part of the Parks Commission, and a lot of these things that I'm going to read from now happened out to Oakland County Parks, and they worked with the Parks Commission before they came to the full commission. So. After the Michigan State Fair closed in 2009, LC and others went to work in creating a new state fair experience that would allow 4-H youth and others to continue exhibiting at the state level. In 2012, the Michigan State Fair was launched as a private LLC. Since its launch, the 5-day event has grown to attract more than 150,000 visitors. Each year and awards $40,000 annually in agriculture scholarships to deserving 4-H youth participants. LC also co-founded the 4-H Youth Team Council to serve as ambassadors for diverse groups of rural and urban youth exhibitors. LC currently serves as chair of the MSU Extension Committee on 4-H Fairs, as a member of the Michigan Association Fairs and Exposition Board of Directors. In 2017, he was inducted to the Michigan Association of Fairs Hall of Fame. And I'm going to ask Jackie to come up at this time, especially on that state fair thing. I know Elsie and Jackie, his wife, really put in extra effort to be able to have that accomplishment. Whereas, though, he is a passionate about 4-H, gives back to his community and industry in many other ways as well. LC has been a member of the Michigan Farm Bureau for 50 years. In 1980, he was named the Michigan Farm Bureau's Young Farmer Committee, where he served as chairman and later as a member of the Michigan Farm Bureau Board of Directors. He continued to serve on the policy development, promotion and education, and agri-pac committees. For 8 years, LC served as president of the Oakland County Farm Bureau, where he developed work annually on Project Rural Education, Project RED, which has become a statewide program that allows third grade students to experience agriculture. LC also is a certified lay speaker, a role he has held for 28 years for the United Methodist Church of Groveland Township. And whereas LC and his wife Jackie, who is also a 4-H alumna, met while attending school at Michigan State University. They were married in 1972, have 3 children, all 4-H alumni, 4 grandchildren, and in 1998 they opened Scramblin South Downs in Holly, where they raise lambs and conduct sheep shearing demonstrations for local 4-Hers. LC has served as president of the American South Down Association USA for 2 years and on the National Board of Directors for 15 years. He also served on the board for All American Junior Sheep Show, which is the largest youth sheep show in the U.S. And whereas on October 2019, LC was one of the 16 individuals inducted into the 2019 class of the National 4-H Hall of Fame, which recognizes and celebrates 4-H volunteers, faculty, and staff, pioneers, donors, and others who have made a significant impact on 4-H at the local, state, and national levels. We join with his family and friends of LC to thank him for the nearly 5 decades of dedicated service to the 4-H community and to congratulate him on being inducted to the National 4-H Hall of Fame. Now, therefore, David Woodward, Chairman of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, and Chairman Bob Hoffman and Thomas Middleton, together with the entire County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim a special accommodation to LC for the extraordinary contributions to the 4-H community. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's ironic that today, January 22nd, this all started last year on January 22nd, when the wife of our past extension director, Wayne Neerman, here in Oakland County, actually came to my office, and she'd said for a long time that she would nominate me for this Hall of Fame, and I thought, well, gosh, that's kind of nice. Won't go anyplace, but it was nice that somebody thought that. It was a couple months later that Michigan decided that I was the one to be nominated on behalf of Michigan. Each state has entitled to one nominee. And then just a couple months after that, a letter came that said I had been selected to go into the Hall of Fame for 4-H in Washington. And it's been it has truly been a great year. The number of people that have came and thanked me for giving their kids opportunities and for helping youth here in Oakland County. It has been a true honor to represent Oakland County because there's so many people in this room that have helped me in the programs of youth here in Oakland County, and truly a county that has put pride always in helping the youth to learn life skills to make them better individuals. And it has been an honor to come here many times to Oakland County government. It sets an example for all of us, and so many times it was related in the work that we did. Dan Stencil back here and all the people at Parks and Rec, the opportunities they've given our youth, and teamed up with the Fair Board to handle thousands, really, of young people. And Tom didn't mention that, of course, when we raised the money in that year, time to build that livestock barn, Louis Wintz, that was charge of the commission at that time, said, well, we'll give you the right to build that, but isn't 4-H and livestock here in Oakland County probably dead? And of course I lied instantly and said, well, boy, if you let us build that building, it won't go away. And I really didn't know if that was true, but truly it has. This past year, it was as filled as it was 30 years ago when we built it. The ideas have changed a little bit, but what an opportunity it is to teach life skills to young people. And it's been just an honor, a great ride. We met twice a week, or every other week at Tom Middleton's house for a year to get that done. They told us we couldn't raise that much money in a year's time, but the people of Oakland County.
January, and the kids had a barn to be in August. The best committee I've ever been on.
But once again, it was people saying you couldn't do it, but the people of Oakland County have proven this over and over, that given a challenge, we can always come together. And it truly has been a thing that has built that program, and we just thank all of you for your support, and it's been just an honor. It's going to be an honor to celebrate 200 years of this great county. You'll have to keep an eye on. We're going to have some kind of celebration out to the fair. We hope you'll be there. It's been fantastic to move the state fair to Oakland County. A lot of people said, boy, we can't have two fairs in Oakland County. I was on one of the 3 people that made that pitch to move it to the show place. It's been a tremendous ride, and again, servicing young people every year there. And we just think it's fantastic still. Both fairs are within Oakland County now, a home of a lot of great agricultural stories, a lot of great youth stories. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for this. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Elsie, for all that you do for our community, and all the great things you're going to continue to do for our community. And thank you, Commissioners Middleton and Hoffman, for bringing forth this great honor. I need to go back. We skipped over 2 little communications, so I'm going to open the floor back to our clerk, Lisa Brown, for 2 quick communications we need to read into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 2 quick little notes. The first, dear Commissioners, I thank you for your holiday greetings and for the generous gift card. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. May you all enjoy a productive and prosperous New Year. Sincerely, Patricia Schaefer. And the second one says, dear Commissioners, thank you all so very much for the generous Target gift card. Your kindness is very much appreciated. Happy New Year to all of you and your families. May 2020 bring all good things to you. Best wishes, Sherry Hakeem, newest staff member to the BOC.
Great. Moved by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman to receive and file. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The communication is received. Thank you very much. Next up, we have a presentation from Oakland Community Health Network. I want to invite up Melchiah Newman, Jonathan Landsman, and Edna White. No strangers to the board. We welcome you. For those in the audience who are joining us for the first time, the Oakland Community Health Network is formerly was known as the Oakland County Mental Health Authority. Does incredible work for our community, providing critical services to people in need, families in need, and here to give an update on some of the things that they're doing, and selection of a firm I'm very excited about.
Good evening. I just wanted to give the Oakland County Board of Commissioners an update on where we are with our CEO search. As you guys are aware, our former CEO, Annette Downey, departed for another position. So we met with our board, convened a meeting, and we proceeded with a search process for our new CEO. We did engage in activities to do an in-house search, but after the board had a chance to meet and deliberate, a decision was made to proceed with an executive search firm. Per our procurement rules, we did engage in an RFP process. Included in the participation of that RFP, a request for proposal process, were members of our board of directors. I participated as the HR director of Oakland Community Health Network, and we had representatives from our contracts and procurement team on that RFP. Ultimately, the recommendation was to select the Hunter Group. The Hunter Group is a selection firm located in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And formally, the board met yesterday to approve a contract to proceed with the selection process using the Hunter Group. Blair Miller is the contractor that we will be working with the Hunter Group, and there will be a meeting on Thursday, January 30th at a board study session. There, Ms. Miller will formalize the timeline and the selection process with our board. She is in fact preparing right now to send an assessment questionnaire to our board ahead of the study session. She wants to get a good idea from the board members themselves of what they believe OCHN's needs are and what the board's priorities are in selecting a candidate. So that is it in a nutshell. Do either of you, Mr. Landsman or Ms. Newman, have anything you'd like to add?
I didn't know if we could take questions from the...
Sure. I mean, this is obviously been a conversation very important to everyone in Oakland County. The leadership of the Oakland County Health Network is a $300 million enterprise. The leadership is absolutely critical to ensure that we maximize those services. I know lots of board members have had individual conversations. Thank you very much for being here. Are there any commissioners that have any question for the board members that are here as they continue this process? Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, thank you so much for coming and giving us this update and agreeing to do a national search. This is such an important position for so many of our residents. How long do you anticipate this search will take?
Based on our experience of work, well, based on what this organization has told us, a typical search, even nationwide, will take about 90 days. They have a plan of action for us to follow. This is not the first time they've hired nationally or even regionally. They've hired for the Archdiocese. They've hired for a number of other organizations in the Judson Center, just a number of other groups, Lutheran Social Services. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions that commissioners may have? As for the public, the Board of Commissioners appoints the members that serve on the board of the Oakland County Health Network. They're incredibly accessible to all of us, very responsive, do this voluntarily to help run an organization so critically important to our community. So thank you all for coming this evening, giving us an update, and look forward to continuing having conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, that brings us up to the public comment portion of today's meeting. We got a number of people who've signed up, so I'm going to go through this list first. But if you didn't sign up, once I complete this list, if you can proceed to the mic at the back of the, I guess front of the room, depending from your vantage point, and just give your name and address, and then address the board. Our rules are that every member of the public is invited to speak for 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you, because we have a lot of people ready to speak, to please hold yourself to that. We have this nice little timer up here to help guide you. If it goes off, I'm going to ask you to kindly wrap up your remarks so that everyone has the opportunity to address the board this evening. I would also ask one other thing. I will ask people to refrain from demonstrations. We do not want to discourage anyone from coming forward to be able to speak. So whether you agree or disagree with the comments of the speaker, I ask that everyone is afforded the respect to come and address this board, and everyone who wanting to speak and address this board this evening will be invited to do so. With that, let me start with the first. I'm just going to go down this list. And again, if you didn't sign up, you can come up afterwards. The first person I have up is Barb Yangley, followed by John Abul.
Me and Miss Langley have decided to switch because I'm approaching a different subject than she and most of these other people are here for. I'm the
your
busiest
job.
gravel train driver in town.
Okay,
I have to be at work at 4 o'clock.
got it.
I'm here on the Second Amendment Sanctuary Cities and Counties petition that's circulating. I'd like to also add, I'm going to give you some history because those who don't know history are bound to repeat it. Some comparisons between Rome and our current country. It's corrupt politicians, open borders, loss of a common language, the welfare state, violent entertainment, decline in morality, exploding debt which leads to unbearable taxation, outsourcing, class warfare, decline in fertility rates, massive military cuts, disarmament. The Roman soldiers were told to lay down your arms so you didn't scare the citizenry. A lot of people want everybody to put down their guns because they're scared of guns. Rome fell in a day, maybe a week, nobody knows. Everybody was killed or sold off into slavery because the soldiers had no weapons to protect themselves or their country. The only reason why we're never attacked is because all of us have guns and all of them know we know how to use them. Why do the Democrats want to take our guns? Because they want to do something to us that we will all want to shoot them for. Please, join the rest of the counties in Michigan that are going to sign up for the Second Amendment Sanctuary. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, sir. So I'm going to say this one more time. I'm going to ask people to refrain from demonstration so that we allow everyone the opportunity to speak, whether you agree or you disagree with the individual comments. If we cannot do that, we might need to take a recess for the next hour so that people can learn to do that. Everyone is going to be afforded the respect to be able to address this body with dignity, regardless of your individual positions. And I'm going to hold very strict to that to ensure that everyone is afforded the opportunity to speak and be heard by the Board of Commissioners. Ms. Yangley, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm Barb Yeagley. I'm a Troy resident and an Oakland County taxpayer. And I came to express my anger and dismay and outrage at the people of this commission who voted $500,000 to fund Planned Parenthood's single abortion clinic in Ferndale. The Planned Parenthood CEO of Michigan bragged in 2017 that they were provided 20% of the abortions in the state of Michigan. Planned Parenthood is an abortion provider. Abortion is not a part of family planning. They operate 10 of the abortion clinics that are in the state. And I wanted to point out to the commission that there was not even Planned Parenthood clinic in Oakland County before 2012. However, when they did arrive in 2012, the following year, the number of abortions in Oakland County increased from about 2,700 each year to 3,400 each year. That's an increase of 700 prenatal children whose lives ended. Now, I also wanted to point out that there's been no transparency as to which types of services that they provided to these 4,300 clients that came to see them. How many of them were tested for STDs? How many were tested for cancer screenings? And another thing, the last thing I'd like to point out is that Planned Parenthood of Michigan is a $26 million corporation, and they don't need our money compared to a lot of the other organizations that are within the county who can also provide family planning services. So just wanted to let you know that this will not be forgotten. You will not be forgiven.
Next up, we have Amy Demoff, followed by Monica Miller.
Hi, my name is Amy Demoff. I live in Clarkston, Michigan. I am a taxpayer here in Oakland County. I am here to say I oppose what you've done by allocating this much money, $500,000 to Planned Parenthood, $500,000 to Planned Parenthood. I'm letting you know that I stand here, I am representing a lot of people, hundreds of people in my world that agree with me, and each of these people here, many people here have the same group of people behind them that you have done something that you know we do not agree with. Thousands of voices are being shared with you tonight when we get up and speak. Obviously, everyone cannot be here tonight, but if they could, they would be saying the same thing. We do not want our money given to Planned Parenthood. They kill the most innocent among us, and they are very clear that that is what they do. They also have been outed many times of helping sex traffickers. They have done horrible things by selling baby parts. This is all common knowledge. This is all common knowledge, and you can see them actually speaking these words on videos. So this is nothing new to any of us, and if you haven't seen it, you need to do more research. But we are standing here saying we do not want our taxpayer money going to Planned Parenthood, ever. We are not going to forget this. If you do this, we want it reversed. That's what we're asking for. We know the money has not been given yet, and we want it reversed. If you go through with this, we will not forget, we will remember, and we will vote you out of office. So make sure you understand what you're doing, because we are very passionate about it, and we do not want our money given to this organization, who makes billions of dollars, by the way. They are the #1 provider of abortion. There are so many places, including Crossroads Care Center for Women in Auburn Hills. There's the Women's and Teens in Pontiac, Mary's Mantle in Southfield. I hope somebody gets up and clearly states in their time frame that the reason that was given is not sufficient. Something about Title X funding that you're trying to meet so that you can actually get funding. They don't even meet it anymore. The new regulations that Trump has put in place makes it so they are not eligible for it. And so we want you to honor that and give that money to people who really need it, and not to people who are killing babies. I am not for this, and I want you to know it. Thank you.
Thank you, Demoff. Monica Miller, followed by Robert Ryan, and then Bob Cushman. Yeah. No. Oh. Okay. Commissioner Powell. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Monica Miller, followed by Robert Ryan, Bob Cushman. Ms. Miller, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Monica Miller. I'm the Director of Citizens for a Pro-Life Society, and I do reside in South Lyon, Michigan, Washtenaw County, which also gave $100,000 to their local Planned Parenthood. Our concern is really very complicated and I would say coming from a number of different angles. I think in terms of the first angle, our problem and why this hall here is filled this evening is because there's a moral principle at stake. You've given $500,000 to an organization that kills people. That's the bottom line. Planned Parenthood discriminates against an entire people group, an innocent class of people, unborn children, who are members of the human family, as human as you or I, and yet they are in the business of killing that people group. And you decided somehow or another that that doesn't make any difference. Because I'll bet you wouldn't have given $500,000 to an organization that discriminated against another people group, but somehow the unborn child is of no consequence to those who voted for this expenditure. So there's the moral principle involved. Now, I understand that there is a Title X issue here, that Oakland County did not want to lose its Title X accreditation. And so the monies get funneled off to Planned Parenthood when there are 9 other federally approved health centers in your own community. And if you wanted to cobble together those health centers, then you could have met the threshold for the family planning resources and services that are provided by those other health centers that don't do abortions, but that was not looked at. That was not considered. You had an option, and the final option is you should have just said no. No, we're not going to support and legitimize an organization that kills people. And that's the issue. That's why we're here tonight. And I really want you to take it to heart. And yes, we are noting who voted for this. That's important. You got to own it, and there may be a consequence to your being elected next time the election comes around. Thank you. I really do appreciate that you're giving us the time this evening to voice our opposition, and I hope that you do take it to heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Robert Ryan. Robert Ryan, followed by Mr. Bob Cushman.
My name is Robert Ryan. I'm a citizen of Clarkston, a taxpayer of Oakland County. I'm a voice for the voiceless children, whom you have not protected. Worse, you have funded their death with $500,000. Please reconsider. You have the Holocaust Museum just down the road. You have failed to remember the lesson that it's there to teach. Please reconsider. I'm a voice for the voiceless.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Bob, Mr. Cushman. Followed by Suzanne Colister and then Colleen Bassett.
Good evening. My name is Bob Cushman. I'm from South Lyon. Dear Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we come before you as a group of concerned citizens to request that the attached resolution to designate Oakland County be considered as a safe haven or sanctuary county for our constitutional right to bear arms. There are those that might ask the question, if the Second Amendment is stated both in our U.S. and state constitution, then why do we need or want a resolution to further state those rights? The answer lies in current and world history. There has always been and probably will always be a debate concerning a citizen's right to bear arms. We know that the Romans debated whether Roman citizens should be allowed to carry concealed knives. The study of history and civics reminds us that whenever controversy arises, the solution invariably begins with the concept and practice of going back to the basics. What are the basics for American citizens? We citizens of the United States are united as one people by 2 social compacts, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. In the Declaration of Independence, we clearly state that our rights come from our Creator and that the primary purpose of government is to protect the rights of the governed. The relevant section begins with the phrase, "We hold these rights to be self-evident." These are the basic concepts that formulate the reason for government and the origin of our rights. The Second Amendment was penned to remind those in government that our rights to bear arms may not be infringed upon. It is important to remember that the Constitution's Bill of Rights was written to restrict the authority of government from overreach. It's further important to remember that our rights come from our Creator, not our government. Our rights predate the formation of this country. These then are the basics that must be considered when we look at protecting our rights. Good students of history understand that one of the primary reasons to study history is to attempt to prevent duplicating the mistakes of the past. Let us never forget that approximately 55 million human beings have been murdered by their own governments in the last 120 years after their governments took their guns away. The countries of China, Russia, and Germany are at the top of this list, but there's many others. This resolution, which I've emailed and given you a hard copy of, is simply a restatement of our Second Amendment rights that are guaranteed by both the U.S. and our Michigan constitutions and should not be any cause for concern by anyone. With this in mind, we request that this resolution be approved as soon as practical. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Susan Collister, Colleen Bassett, and then Jay Flaherty.
Hi.
Welcome.
I live in Oakland Township, and our families lived here. We lived in Michigan our whole lives. And I was very upset to find out about this and not to have any notice of any sort in advance. I don't know where that's been hidden or how on earth this just kind of got passed through, but it's very upsetting to all of us. And I'd like to ask a couple questions about it. I know I'm not going to get the answer right now, but I don't understand how $500,000 could go to an organization that at the very least is just like a huge money-making profiteer off of a popular, really the biggest social injustice of our time, and just the fact that you would funnel all that money as if they need help. They've already kind of let our president know they don't want that kind of, I mean, they're in it for Title X abortion. We're in full support of free and low-cost health care. I've looked up all the sites to try to figure out where you could have wanted to funnel money from or how that could be helpful to just take it from your future population. I just don't understand it. We're for low-cost health care to help with all stages of human life. So preborn, newborn, children, adolescents, adults, and like the huge senior citizen population. I mean, I hope they don't turn on us and then all of a sudden we hear that now we're funding that. I've searched the internet. I'm not finding anywhere where these funds were like funneled from, or if it's a grant, like a private grant or something. I am not finding where that is. I feel like that's the very least we could like clearly know. We know that you voted it through. We don't understand where it's come from. What did it come out of that could have helped our area? And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even understand how you could have let this kind of pass through. So rather than to reduce our future population of our beautiful county, the future of our citizens, I feel that you need to revisit it. And that's just respectfully what I would ask tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleen Bassett, followed by Jay Flattery, and then Lori Goldman.
Colleen Bassett, Bloomfield Hills. Wikipedia says that Planned Parenthood is the largest single provider of abortions in the United States. That's the problem with this whole thing. We just don't trust them. They have such a reputation for this. They package it in so many different ways, and the packaging sounds so attractive. It's just not the truth. Their bread and butter is abortion. I think one book I read myself that I thought was so moving was the book Unplanned by Abby Johnson. She's a former director of Planned Parenthood in Texas. And it's like you're a fly on the wall. You get to go through it with her. You get an eye-opener as to what this Planned Parenthood is. You know, it sounds so good, and I wish it was what they say they are. But when people like you accept them and trust them, they use you, and that's what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Flattery, followed by Laura Goldman, then Chris Leduc.
Good evening, Commissioners and fellow citizens. I'm a taxpayer from Rochester Hills. The land of the free and the home of the brave. The land of the free. What does it mean for us to be free? For us to be free means we have the right to pursue what we ought to pursue, to do what we ought to do, to follow our conscience, to follow what's right, to love our neighbor, and to give every person, every member of the human family their dignity that they deserve. Whether they're in a coma, whether they're suffering from Alzheimer's, or whether their whole life is still in front of them. What we're asking from you tonight is to reconsider this judgment, given the population that you're serving in our county, to recognize that we would prefer not to be forced to support an organization that we consider to be abhorrent, to be simply beyond the pale. And 50 years from now, we may not be talking about the last century. I think we'll be talking about what's going on right now as the example that we should never again repeat. And so I'm asking you to allow us to pursue what we ought, to do what we should, to follow our conscience, and to be free. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lori Goldman, followed by Chris Leduc, and then John Kapanakis.
Good evening. My name is Lori Goldman, and I'm a taxpayer and a resident of Bloomfield Township. I want to come and tell the Oakland County Board of Commissioners that I appreciate greatly that you have committed those funds to Planned Parenthood. I'm a housewife and a resident, but I'm also head of a group called Femmes for Democracy that has over 6,000 members, and our group in total supports you. And some people have mentioned they're looking at the people that supported this amount to be given to Planned Parenthood as if they might not want to get you reelected. We will work very hard to make sure that those of you that support Planned Parenthood will be reelected. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Same applies. Chris Leduc, John Kapanakis, followed by James.
Hi,
James
thank you so
Zyrick.
much.
Thank you.
So I was raised there, but for the grace of God go I. And as a father of 3 daughters, you know, if anything were to ever happen to my wife or myself, I'm glad, you know, I sleep better knowing that there's health care available to my girls and that low cost, and as Planned Parenthood is the largest healthcare provider specifically for women in the country. I'm grateful that this organization and that the board decided to divert those funds to Planned Parenthood and to support Planned Parenthood in Oakland County. It's important to me that we're on the right side of that. I'm in District 5. I live in West Bloomfield. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next up, we've got John Kapanakis, followed by James Herrick, and then Robert Stefanik.
Hi, I'm a resident of West Bloomfield and want to provide my support to the commission on this challenging vote. I know this is a heated, emotional issue for many of us, and I understand that it's difficult, but essentially I want to let those commissioners that decided to proceed with this, that there is a lot of support for your position of ensuring that reproductive health is available not just to those with means, but to those without means. And I think it's important, when speaking of morality, that we look at what we do for those with the least amongst us than just those with means. So I just wanted to let the commission know that we do support your actions and appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, James, am I saying this right? Rick. So it's as simple as it looks, just has got an extra letter. All right. Mr. Rick, and then Robert Stefanik.
Good evening. My name is James Rick. I am also a West Bloomfield resident, and I just can't tell you how this saddens me that this money would go to such a diabolical organization. Their whole purpose is to eliminate the living. That's what it goes as women's health care, and you say that you will not disperse money specifically for abortions. But when you take a wad of cash and throw it into the gutter, There'll be bean counters who will just take that money and absorb it into their system to eliminate the living. I'm totally against this, and there's many people behind me also that would like to see this money spent elsewhere. There are many Christian organizations whose budget are on a shoestring that could utilize this money and stretch it a lot farther to help the living than to eliminate the living. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. Robert Stefanik, followed by Egypt Otis.
I'm Robert Stefanik. I live in White Lake Township. I just want to say the board made a big mistake. And not by our standards, by the world's standards. We made a mistake by God's standards. Please don't comment for me, please. It's my turn to talk, and I don't want anybody to clap after me either. So it's not my talking right now, it's God's talking through me. You made a mistake, but you have an opportunity to reverse that and not give that money to Planned Parenthood. $500,000 should be spent, as the county should, and all government should, to take care of the common good of the people. People like that are raising people in the society to become productive members. We need more people that are workers. We don't have enough workers right now. We're gonna run out of workers. We run out of tool and die people, and electricians and builders. We're missing these people. Some of these people could be in those aborted fetuses that they call fetuses, but they're babies. God gave them the right to life as soon as they were conceived in that womb. And I beg the commissioners, and I know that all you didn't vote that way, it was a pretty close vote. But I mean, you not have to answer to us in an election. You may get reelected again. You're only here because God let you be here. Look what's going to happen in the future to our society if we keep our birth rate keeps going down. We have to make it flip the other way around. China's reversing their one person policy per couple. We don't want to go down the same path they did. We're already too low on our population growth. So I beg you to consider what you've done in light of God's teaching, that you haven't made an error and you can reverse that and make it right. Give the money to the 4-H. Give money to adoption agencies. I mean, even one of the guys that spoke here, Bob Ryan, he's adopted 4 kids. He's got 14 kids in his family. We want the population to grow and increase, not decrease. So in the holy name of Jesus, I ask you to consider your vote and reverse the money. Thank you. Don't clap.
Thank you for being here. Next up, we got Egypt Otis, followed by Noah Greco, and then Beth Great.
Hello, everyone. My name is Egypt Otis, and I am a regional organizer for Planned Parenthood servicing the area in Oakland County. And in 2018, Planned Parenthood serviced over 4,000 patients here in Oakland County. Those individuals were covered under Title X funding that we unfortunately lost. So I'm here to say thank you and show support for the commissioners that gave us that money and voted on us to continue on providing those very critical care, family planning services, and reproductive health care services that's desperately needed. That funding is going to be used to help the most marginalized and low-income peoples who need critical health care services. So I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to say that we support you and that this funding is something that is very critical in making sure that reproductive health care services and family planning services are accessible to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Noah Greco, Beth Great, Annette Longtime.
Hi there, Noah Greco, Rochester Hills resident, taxpayer in Oakland County. Like Egypt before me, I just want to come in and say thank you for giving these funds to Planned Parenthood. They're a great organization. They've helped me out a couple times. They've helped my friends out when we were in college, and we didn't. I'm sorry? Is that? I'm speaking. Thank you. They've helped me out, they've helped my friends out when we didn't have the money and we had no one to turn to and nobody would help us. Planned Parenthood would. These are people that, you know, they want to help folks like me. They want to help folks that are poor, that don't have a lot of money, that can't, you know, afford to go to the big fancy doctors and all that. And they'll do whatever they can to help you out, no matter who they are. And that's the most important part of Planned Parenthood to me. So I just wanted to thank you all for supporting it. And like people before me have said, you know, who voted for and against it. It's pretty well known at this point, and we'll be looking forward to the next election on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Beth Great, Annette Longtine, and followed by Andrea Rofe.
Hi, I'm Beth Great, Highland District 2. I also want to encourage you to look at the issue of the Second Amendment. To me, it should not even be something you have to look at. It's already in the Constitution, but because of what's going on in our country right now, I think preemptively we may need to, in order to take preemptive steps to make sure that our Second Amendment rights are protected in our county. Also, I want to address the issue of the Regional Transit Authority, which may or may not come directly before you, but I think that is also a tremendous waste of our taxpayer money that very few people will find benefit from. The up and coming is more toward the Ubers and the individual drivers, and that I think is much more representative of where we're headed for public transit. I also want to address the funding for Planned Parenthood. You've heard from both sides. I am grateful that you've heard from both sides. I am glad that both sides have been afforded the respect from this commission to hear from both sides, because it is a very passionate issue. My concern has to do with the fact that you had other organizations that could have also benefited from this money and yet chose to send the money to probably the most controversial of the organizations that you could have chosen. Beyond the abortion issue, very little, it has been documented, very little of the money that goes to Planned Parenthood goes to anything other than abortion, statistically and per ratio, per capita, goes to anything other than abortion or lobbying. And I do not want my taxpayer money used for an organization that predominantly does lobbying against things I believe in and for abortion. There are other organizations that provide far more health care for women's issues for the poor. It was also mentioned earlier about the issue of trafficking. My main field of work is in the field of human trafficking. I've worked in Lansing, I have worked nationally, I have worked internationally in the field of human trafficking. It has been documented that Planned Parenthood is covering up statutory rapes that show up in their clinics. They are also aiding and abetting return customers who are bringing in their trafficking victims and giving them group rates. So please consider that.
Thank you. Next up, we have Annette Longtine, followed by Andrea Roff, and then Shane Trejo.
Hi, thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
from Oakland County. I am with Right to Life in Michigan. A lot of what I was going to say has already been said, but I would say the Board of Commissioners did not do their due diligence. That reimbursement contract could have gone to an existing federally qualified health center that provides comprehensive health care, including primary care as well as reproductive health. It's also shown statistically that when the money goes to a health center or health department, more men come in for treatment and medical care. That's not to say that STDs go up, but more men seek treatment. They don't generally go to PP to Planned Parenthood for their care. Some of the things that are supposed to be provided under this reimbursement funding, you know, are listed, our high blood pressure, anemia, diabetes, infertility service. Planned Parenthood, I've never seen provide any of that service. And there are low-cost health centers that do help the poor people on a sliding scale or free, and the money could have gone to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Rofe, followed by Shane Trejo.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I am from Sylvan Lake. I'm devastated that $500,000 was provided to Planned Parenthood. Abortion is not health care. It is murder, and I stand here before all of you as a murderer. I murdered 2 babies. I robbed this precious little one of 2 siblings and my 2 other children of their siblings. I robbed my parents of their grandkids, my nieces and nephews of their cousins. That money should have gone to so many other places, but murdering our children is not the answer. I was pressured as a young college student twice by 2 different fathers. It's devastated my life, and it actually took me 20 years to heal, there's still pain, there's still regret, there will always be regret. There are so many other girls that are being pressured to kill their babies. Had I known how supported I would have actually been, had I gone through with my pregnancy, my parents would have supported me. The father's parents told me that they would have supported me and asked us why we didn't come to them. Abortion is decided in a state of fear and unknown. It should not be an option. It is murder. And I hope that if there's anyone here who is Christian and had voted for giving this money to Planned Parenthood to kill babies, I hope you reconsider your position. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here. Shane Trejo, followed by Connor. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shane Trejo. I'm helping organize the Oakland County movement to make Oakland a sanctuary for gun rights. Just here today to make you aware of a resolution that we'd like to see on the agenda next month or in the future that's in favor of the Second Amendment. This resolution is a simple reaffirmation of what's in the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan State Constitution. We saw the rally in Virginia earlier this week where people of left and right, many different ethnicities, nationalities, and ways of life, they all came together peacefully to reaffirm their core freedoms. That's the kind of unity we would like to bring to the state of Michigan, and we hope to stimulate a discussion about our constitutional liberties that our culture desperately needs. So you've been given a hard copy of the resolution today, and you've been emailed copies as well. Please review it over the next month, and if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I will be in touch. Thank you for your time, and if anyone else here would like more information about the effort, about the movement that's developing in Oakland County and how to get involved, please make sure to see me after the meeting. I'll stick around. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Connor.
My name is Connor Nepomuceno. I am a resident of Clarkston. And Commissioners, first off, I'd like to thank you for giving us the time hearing our thoughts tonight. I really can't sugarcoat what I'm about to say. I'm here because I'm scared. I'm scared for the future of this nation, my community, my own life. Extremist violence on the far left and the far right is on the rise. People are still being targeted for their thoughts and words, or their race, their sexual preferences, creed, religion, or politics. Houses of worship, schools, movie theaters, and any number of public places can be subjected to mindless, wanton violence. And our economy is still performing well. What will happen when this bubble pops? But that alone is not what I fear. I fear an ever more powerful government. There's a nationwide movement to confiscate arms by elected officials in Lansing and Washington, maybe even here in Oakland. I'm here to inform you this approach is the least likely to curtail violence. Punishing innocent and otherwise peaceful people for the crimes of evil people is woefully inadequate. Our right to defend our own lives and property is sacred and vital to ensuring a harmonious society, as an armed society is a polite society. I wish to live my own life in peace. Do not permit men armed with guns of their own to confiscate my arms, my life, and my liberty. Such men will not find a cooperative victim. Do not put people in Oakland County in such a position. Please take a stand against Lansing and Washington. Support our constitutional rights and make Oakland a sanctuary for natural rights and private firearm ownership. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Jerry Clixby, followed by Angela Thompson and Juliana Reyes.
My name is Jerry Clixby. I've been a taxpayer in West Bloomfield for 50 years. And I'm a little confused because earlier tonight we heard two proclamations honoring two different people. One was a gentleman who dedicated almost his entire life helping young people, enriching their lives and teaching them life skills. The second was a young man who was born with a birth defect and went on to achieve greatness and still will go on to achieve even more greatness. And we've honored these two people. We got to clap for them. But I'm looking at this body who not only honored these two people, but voted to spend $500,000 of our money to an to an organization as questionable as you know who I'm talking about. An organization who kills babies, butchers them, and sells body parts. Can you understand my confusion? I think that every one of you know that this was wrong. This was a wrong vote, a wrong decision. You may admit it, you may not, but it was questionable at best. I don't think you're going to get away with it. I would urge you to reconsider and rescind the allocation, and I do it as quickly as I could, because I don't think you're going to get away with it. If you feel this justified in spending our money this loosely, then maybe you consider spending another few $100,000 to an organization like the NRA to protect our constitutional rights. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. You all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Thank you, sir, for being here. I'm going to state again, there will be no demonstrations. Everyone will be afforded the respect to be heard, whether you agree or disagree with the remarks of the individual. We will proceed accordance to that, and if we can't, we can take a break. Angela Thompson, followed by Juliana Reyes, and then Bridget Dimmer.
I'm from
Angela, the floor is yours.
Northville, and I belong to many ministry groups in the South Lyon area. And funding Planned Parenthood is funding abortion. In this wealthy county, it is hypocritical to support abortion because it is a genocide. It's a genocide against the poor and the disadvantaged and the imperfect. It is a genocide against the nation of Down persons. This is a Holocaust. It's dehumanizing and harmful to everyone. It has a general dehumanizing effect on every human person on this planet. This strikes me as money given for population control of the poor, population control of the imperfect. It's much more humane that those services would receive the money to support healthy, living babies. The blood of these babies, these Oakland County babies killed by abortion, will be on your hands for eternity. Defund Planned Parenthood. Fund supportive services for moms who need assistance in supporting their pregnancies, raising their precious babies, and our community's greatest treasure. Your false compassion is smoke and mirrors, a cover-up for population control of the impoverished and those deemed unworthy of life, to the benefit of those who you deem worthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Juliana Reyes, followed by Bridget Dimmer, then Stephen Brock.
Hi, I'm Julianne Reyes, and I'm from Rochester Hills, Michigan, and I'm a taxpayer, a voter, but even more important, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And I know you've heard many people talking about the voting and people, you know, the ramifications of what you've done as far as being voted into public office or whatever. But more importantly, you one day will meet your maker. And you know that Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion maker. They kill tons and tons of babies. And this is 2020. You passed it in 2019. There's ultrasounds. You can see that it's a baby. We know that it is a baby that is being murdered. And one day you will meet your maker. So I'm just asking you, this is more important than the vote or what other people might say. This is between you and the Lord. And you may not have that belief, but there is a maker out there. And I'm telling you, you need to reconsider. You need to talk about this in your caucus, and you need to reconsider. There are so many other places that you can take that money to that will help women and poor people and whoever your target audience is. There's pregnancy centers, there's health departments, there's all these different things that you could take that money to, but not something that is going to murder babies. So I'm asking you to reconsider. Take it to heart, please.
Thank you. Bridget Dimmer, and then Stephen Brock, followed by Karen Jewell.
Hi, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Bridget Dimmer, and I'm a Farmington Hills resident. Can you hear? Should I talk into it more? Okay. Is this better? Okay. I have 2 points that I'm going to read. The first is I understand that the board would like to see the Title X reproductive health care services replaced in Oakland County. However, rather than giving the money to Planned Parenthood, I'd like to see our tax money allocated to a less biased source for counseling. And I'm confident that we can find a less biased source than the #1 advocate for and provider for abortion in our country. Understandably, it would be faster and easier to simply replace that Title X money to Planned Parenthood. But I think it's unfair to taxpayers and women who should expect to receive unbiased pregnancy counseling and services, not from an organization that has a financial incentive linked to their obtaining an abortion. It may take longer to research and find appropriate healthcare centers, whether they're federally qualified healthcare centers in Oakland County or the county health clinics, hospitals, or other providers, but I know we can do better for women. And my second point is that I would really like to see us use some of that $500,000 to replace some of the money that Governor Whitmer defunded last year from pregnant women and their babies. There was an initiative called the Michigan Pregnancy and Parenting Support Services Program, and she withdrew $700,000 from the state of Michigan that supported women and their children in their first year of life. This initiative assisted women and children with prenatal care, pediatric appointments, clothing, formula, temporary housing, furniture, and so on. This too seems to fall under the umbrella of women's and family health care, and I think should be something that both Republicans and Democrats can support. So again, the name of that is the Michigan Pregnancy and Parenting Support Service Program. They worked with pregnancy and social service agencies throughout the state, so I'm sure that we would be able to reinstate that in Oakland County again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Stephen Brock, and then Karen Jewell.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Brock. I'm a resident of Ortonville, Michigan. And I just wanted to come in here and say that I was a young man when the Roe versus Wade decision was made. And at that time, I was in my early 20s. I thought, it's really going to cheapen life. And now I look at our society after this decision was made so long ago, and how the violence has just exacerbated and just grown in our society. It breaks my heart, it really does. And I just would just like to ask this organization, this commission, to rethink their position on giving Planned Parenthood $500,000. There are so many different organizations that would be more benevolent towards women's health care than Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Karen Jewell.
Good evening. My name is Karen Jewell, and I represent a women's pregnancy choice in Farmington Hills, Michigan. And I'm here not to speak about the legality of abortion, but citizens' right to choose. Citizens' right to choose whether their hard-earned resources pay for the ending of life for a preborn child. The funding of Planned Parenthood by taxpayer dollars takes away the rights of those who respect and value human life from conception to natural death. I represent a pregnancy care center that served 480 individuals in 2019. Amongst them, 137 who questioned whether they could continue their pregnancies because of the very challenging situations in their lives. With respect, compassion, and kindness, we walked with these women through the challenges of their lives, including the decision that would impact them for the rest of their lives and for generations to come, as you heard from a previous speaker. We offered pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, relationship assessments, parenting classes, material support, including diapers, clothing, car seats, cribs, mentoring, support groups, housing, legal and medical referrals, and more, all without a dime of taxpayer funding. Taxpayers who oppose educating, empowering, and equipping women who are pregnant in less than ideal situations are not forced to support our work. To the contrary, like-minded citizens, often labeled as radical, intolerant, backward-thinking, narrow-minded pro-lifers, fund their own work of compassion and care for women and their partners. Why don't the supporters of Planned Parenthood do the same? The Legal Times for Oakland County states that this voting came about as a result of Donald Trump imposing new federal rules earlier this year, making Planned Parenthood ineligible to receive federal funds. That is not true. Planned Parenthood had the option of separating their work so that abortions could be separated from all the other good care that they provide for women and families. And they chose instead to turn down that money. So I have to ask, if Planned Parenthood could set aside $45 million to put into the 2020 elections, they can well afford to fund their own work and not the taxpayers of Oakland County. I'm leaving a list of, in case you're unaware, the 9 federally qualified health centers in Oakland County could benefit tremendously from the $500,000, and they qualify for Title X. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that concludes everyone who had signed up. Anyone else wishing to address the public is invited at this time. If you would come up to the podium, if you line up, if you can give your name and address, and the same rules apply. Keep your comments, please, limited to 3 minutes. And if you hit the timer, that I will ask you to wrap up your comments so that everyone's afforded the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. My name is Connor Adams. I'm a Milford Township resident, Oakland County taxpayer. Today is January 22nd. We are standing in Oakland County. Theft is always a crime. Assaulting someone is wrong. These are truths. Truth determines what is true and just and what is not. My opinions can't change the truth or make what is evil good, and neither can yours. There is right and there is wrong. Truth can't be relative. That means there is truth to what abortion is. According to a Princeton.edu source, over a dozen embryologists confirm that science shows us that human life begins at conception. living, distinct, and whole human beings, begin to grow at conception. There's no debate to this fact. Therefore, every act of abortion is the murder of an innocent son or daughter, either through dismemberment, decapitation, poisoning, or suctioning. By approving this grant, you are supporting and putting your name behind this barbaric evil. That is on your conscience. That is the truth. You can make reasons for why you think abortion is right or needed, but that will never change this truth. It can't, because this is the truth about what abortion is. Abortion is the murder of Michigan babies. As government officials, you should be working to defend and protect your citizens. It is wrong and unethical to use $500,000 of taxpayer money to fund an organization that's hurting women, men, and our society. Board Vice Chairman Marcia Gershenson, you said upon approving the funding that protecting health care for our residents is a top priority. Calling murder health care, reproductive rights, or woman's choice may soothe your own view of reality, but it doesn't change the truth that every abortion is murder that results in the destruction of a son or daughter. How ironic that today is the National Day of Prayer for the legal protection of the unborn. 47 years since Roe v. Wade was passed, 55 million babies murdered since that date. Today I pray for a change in your hearts and for an end to the injustice of abortion in America. I work full-time with pregnant students across college campuses across Michigan, and I see the effects that abortion has on women. I've spoken to post-abortive women, and I see college students who are in crisis pregnancies and how they feel that there's no way out because there's no support, and they feel that abortion is their only option. Let's give them more options that support them. Let's not say you can't finish your education, you can't have a career unless you have an abortion. That's not supporting women. Let's support women, support Oakland County residents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Floor is yours, sir.
Hello, my name is Andre Anton. I'm a resident of West Bloomfield, Michigan. Just be really brief. Christians believe that life starts at conception. This is because we believe that when Jesus, the Son of God, became man, that's at that point where he was alive in Mary's womb. And then we also believe that, this is further confirmed when Mother Mary visited her cousin Elizabeth and John the Baptist leapt in the womb. If a penny or even a fraction of a penny of our money goes towards an organization that commits abortion, then I ask, how is this freedom of our religion being respected? And I beg to ask the question, if the freedom of religion is not respected, then does the Constitution still stand? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, welcome. The floor is yours. You're going to have to lower that after you.
Yeah, no. I got it. So, hello. My name is Dee Church. I'm a resident of Farmington Hills, and I'm a taxpayer of Oakland County. I wanted to take a moment to thank you for diverting those funds to Planned Parenthood. A little bit about me is that I am a research assistant at the University of Michigan, where I am working on a project that looks at the sexual and reproductive health of trans and gender nonconforming individuals, Michiganders specifically, both in Oakland County and other places. Planned Parenthood has been a wonderful place to access trans-affirming care, especially pap smears, which can be traumatic for trans men and trans masculine people. Another thing about me is that during my undergraduate and graduate career, I was an advocate at several sexual assault centers, and I've had several clients who have accessed services at Planned Parenthood, and that has been extremely helpful for them, both in like STI testing, cancer screenings, and yes, even abortion a lot of the times in cases of interpersonal violence. A perpetrator or a domestic abuser might use a pregnancy to sort of hold power over someone. And so they will destroy contraceptives such as like condoms or other forms of birth control. And in sexual assault is extremely traumatic for survivors to carry their rapists I guess, like cells inside of them. And so abortion sort of offers an avenue for that, as well as, let's say a perpetrator is not wearing a condom and you could contract HPV 16 or 18. Both of these have been shown to increase the risk of cancer in cervical cells. Planned Parenthood does screening and testing and even treatment for that. And even I work a lot in hospitals, being an advocate for people who are getting evidence collection kit done. And one thing about that is a medication that is offered is called PEP, or post-exposure prophylaxis. This is for if there is any risk of HIV transmission, and if PEP is taken within like first 3 days, though we've seen it be effective longer, it can help sort of flush HIV out of the system if it is there, and Planned Parenthood offers PEP and several other medications. I just did a little like education thing, but if you want to know more about just sort of like sexual and reproductive health, you can go to PlannedParenthood.org. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Oh, you didn't bring it down. That's all right. I think she's got it. Or someone help her. Shelley, help her.
I used to be taller, but. Hi,
welcome.
My name is Patty Rose. I'm from Novi, and I've paid a lot of Oakland County taxes, a lot. I'm also the education coordinator for Right to Life of Novi, Right to Life of Michigan, the Novi affiliate. So you can guess what side I'm going to come down on here. And what I want to say tonight is, A, thank you for letting everyone speak. This is such an important part of our democracy, and I thank you for that. But I also want to say to you as lawmakers that with great power comes great responsibility. Great power comes great responsibility. And you've been given access and control over a lot of money. And so you have to make these critical choices, and you're representing us. And I would ask you each and every time, before you spend a single dollar, is this a life-affirming choice that I'm making, or a life, detrimental, you know what I mean, something that's detrimental to life? Obviously, killing babies cannot be considered a life-affirming choice. And the irony is not lost on me that the first person we honored tonight was a special needs young man, a wonderful contribution to our society that in some circumstances would have been aborted because he was not, quote unquote, perfect. He was certainly perfect in the eyes of his family and a giant contribution to our community. So I would ask you, instead of spending money on a company that doesn't need your money, I would ask you to take the money and use it on life-affirming organizations like hospitals and schools for the deaf and 4-H and crisis pregnancy centers. Those are life-affirming choices, and choices that you can be proud of, and we can be proud of for you. So all I want to say is life is precious. Don't kill babies, and don't fund Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
Hello. My name is Raj Schlesman. I live in Novi. And yes, I am a taxpayer of Oakland County and also a voter. And I support the Commission's choice to provide funding to Planned Parenthood. It provides services for women, and as one gentleman said, there's a lot of marginalized people, and this provides services to people who might otherwise not have resources to take care of that. And I appreciate that. I donate to Planned Parenthood. I think it's a wonderful organization. My daughter works in domestic violence shelters, so she sees marginalized people all the time. As a matter of fact, last year, she lost her health lost her health care because she lives in a different state and does not qualify for Medicaid assistance because they don't participate in that. But she did have to rely on charities and other government services to fill in the void to give her care during the year until she was able to get back on her feet. And I really appreciated that. And the other thing is, you know, for her, for women, it's not my place to decide what to do. It's a personal choice. And whatever they face, they have to face it. You know, so they can get resources that can help them carry on. They may be in such a position that they just cannot. But I can't judge that. And I think it's really unfair to judge people outside of allowing them, particularly the marginalized groups, to have the same options the rest of us do, that have good health care coverage and can make whatever choices we feel is best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here tonight.
Hi, my
Welcome.
name is Blong Yang. I'm a resident in Waterford, taxpayer of Oakland County. I'm here this evening to express my disgust, my disappointment in the county board, the Oakland County Board of Commissioners' decision to allocate $500,000 to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood, they say that they exist to provide non-biased information to women who are pregnant, who are concerned. But then we see that on their website, instead of providing non-biased information, they direct women towards abortion. Like with questions, I'm gonna read it from here. These type of questions. What would it mean for my family if I had a child now? Would having a baby change my life in a way I don't want? Would having an abortion change my life in a way I don't want? What kind of support would I need and get if I decide to have a baby? These are scare tactics. I believe these are scare tactics to direct women who are unsure while they're pregnant into agreeing to or having an abortion. There's scientific proof that at 2.5 weeks, an unborn child develops a heartbeat. And we know that a heartbeat represents life. Well, Planned Parenthood, they make their bread and butter with abortions. We know that they support killing babies. And that's stopping the heartbeat. So I want to ask the Board of Commissioners today to reconsider the decision to allocate $500,000 to Planned Parenthood and allocate that to other organizations that support women's health. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
Hello. My name is Mike Swollam. I live in Waterford. I'm an Oakland County taxpayer. I think all the commissioners, and we too, can agree that our goal should be to have a strong society. And the way we do that is we balance individual rights with responsibilities. So, for example, drinking a nice cocktail at dinner is very relaxing and pleasurable. On the other hand, if you overdo it and you drive and are in an accident or hurt someone, you should be held responsible. Also, gun owners, if they hunt properly and if they protect their families properly, they should have the right of owning the gun. However, if they commit a felony with a gun, that right should be taken away and they should be held accountable. A married man and woman who has sexual relations and do it properly, whether they use protective things to not have the baby, or if they decide to have the baby, hey, that's a green light. However, we have too many people who are just having sex just for the heck of it, regardless of the consequences. They do not take the protective means to not have the baby. I say those people should be held accountable. They should have the baby. Now, does that mean they have to keep the baby? Absolutely not. I was a foster parent, and I'm telling you right now, babies are a hot commodity in the adoption area. Put the baby up for adoption. Now, this is where we come to Planned Parenthood. They give those irresponsible people a get out of responsibility card by having an abortion. I ask you, please retract the $500,000 and put it to some place like, I'm not up on Title X and all that, I'm just a simple guy, but like Habitat for Humanity or Focus Hope, those organizations build our Oakland County up and make us better people. Planned Parenthood does not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here this evening. Sir, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Jeff Lang, a resident of Rochester Hills, proud father of 7 children and 1 grandchild. This issue with Planned Parenthood is not about women's health care. Abortion, plain and simple, is not health care. In fact, it's the antithesis of health care. It's about a choice that you commissioners have, a choice of life or a choice of death. Sadly, to many of us, you have chosen the latter. I really question our county officials who cannot stand up and protect the most innocent, fragile life. What does that mean for the rest of us? I respectfully and prayerfully plead that you turn this train wreck around, reverse this decision, and give the $500,000 to our organization that protects human life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Susan Watts. I'm from Clawson. I'm going to, I don't know if how many of you realize who Margaret Sanger was. She was the founder of Planned Parenthood. I'm going to read a couple of quotes that Margaret Sanger herself stated and still proliferates to this day. Number 1, but for my view, I believe that there should be no more babies. The most merciful thing that the large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. True, 1939. I accept it. I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world and that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being practically, delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. That to me is the greatest sin that people can commit. Another thing is the most serious evil thing of our times is that we are encouraging and bringing into the world large families. The most immoral practice of the day is breeding too many children. Eugenics. She was a big eugenicist, besides being a racist. Eugenics without birth control seems to us a house built upon sands. It's at the mercy of the rising stream of the unfit. As an advocate of birth control, I wish to take advantage of the present opportunity to point out that the unbalance between the birth rate of the unfit and the fit. Admittedly, the greatest menace to civilization can never be rectified in the inauguration of a cradle competition between these two classes. The most urgent problem today is how to limit the discourage the overfertility of the mentally and physically defective. No more children should be born when their parents, though healthy themselves, find that their children are mentally or physically defective. A marriage license shall in itself give a husband and wife only the right to a common household and not the right to parenthood. No woman should have the legal right to bear a child. No man should have a right to become a father without a permit for parenthood. Permits for parenthood should be issued upon the application of city, county, or state authorities to married couples, providing they are financially able to support the expected child, have the qualifications needed for properly rearing the child, have no transmittable diseases, and on the woman's part, no medical indication that maturity is likely to result in death or permanent injury to health. No permit for parenthood should be valid for more than one birth.
Ms. Watts, I am asking you to wrap up your comments so everyone can be afforded.
I will wrap this up here, sir. All of our problems are the result of overbreeding among the working class.
All right, ma'am, you've been afforded 3 minutes, just like everybody else.
Okay.
Please, thank you very much.
Thank
you
you
for coming.
very
If you have
much.
other comments you want to submit in writing, we'll accept them for the record. But
Thank you
people
very much. I just want to point out that Planned Parenthood was based on eugenics and
Ma'am, you've exceeded your 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
My name is Richard Waltermeyer. I'm from Hazel Park. I heard about this on the radio, so I decided to be here and I'm glad you're willing to hear the voices of the people. I want to say that I'm a believer in God. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And His commandments are still in force. Let me remind you of one of them: thou shalt not kill. And I don't want 1 cent of my tax money going to Planned Parenthood. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to say that this is a horrific choice. The founding documents of our country state that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Any child in the womb has that right. We are not judging those who throw away their child. We are sorry for them. But they're judging those inside themselves. They're judging that those inside themselves do not have that right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is not right. Everybody in this room, though they recognize it or not, knows it. It is in our country. It is in the laws of our country. And if we give money to an organization that does this, then how can our country stand? We are destroying the lifeblood of our country. When we have no young children, they will not grow up to be adults. And when you have no adults, you will not have no young children, and the cycle will continue until there is no one left at all. And I thank God that everyone in this room, that their parents gave them the right, accepted that they had the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I ask that you accept that the children in the womb have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And would you mind, give your name just for the record? Just and the mic, so for the clerk.
My name is Grace Tabling. Thank you.
Grace, thank you very much for being here tonight.
Hello, my name is Katie Dukes. I'm from Berkeley, Michigan. And I just wanted to say that in the Old Testament, God said in Jeremiah 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." So not only do we have ultrasound and we can see that the child is being formed in the womb and that the child is truly human from the moment of conception, but God tells us that before He formed us in the womb, He knew us, that we were someone in the mind of God and that we were meant to be. Every child was known by God even before he or she was formed in the womb. In the New Testament, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, a young man made a reference to it earlier.
when the Blessed Virgin Mary went to visit her cousin Elizabeth, very shortly after our Lord was conceived in her womb, she was, by the power of the Holy Spirit, our Lord was conceived in her womb, and she immediately went to the hill country to visit her cousin Elizabeth, who was carrying John the Baptist. She was 6 months pregnant. Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant at the time, and when the Blessed Virgin Mary greeted Elizabeth, the Bible says that Elizabeth felt John the Baptist leap in her womb, a 6-month-old fetus, and Elizabeth, filled with the Holy Spirit, said, "Who am I that the mother of my Lord should come to me?" She was speaking to the Blessed Virgin Mary and referencing the child in her womb, who was very, very recently conceived. She probably wasn't even a month pregnant. And yet, Elizabeth, filled with the Holy Spirit, recognized the child in the womb as our Lord, our God, the King of Kings, the Savior of every soul in this room, an embryo. God bless you all, and please reconsider your vote.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Excuse me, sir, you already spoke during public comment.
I'm going to speak again.
No, sir. Everyone who has been before the time will be given the opportunity to speak. Please step away from the mic. Thank you, ma'am. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Joellen Pizarczyk, Auburn Hills. I just wanted to say very quickly that much ado has been made this evening about we in the audience showing respect for the people who have spoken before. We clapped during the prior presentations. Any other clapping or support that we may have wanted to offer another speaker has been gavelled down. In the meantime, people in this audience are cross-stitching, smirking, making faces. This is very disrespectful. I would assert that the primary disrespect that has taken place in this room tonight has been toward the voters of Oakland County, whose wishes were disregarded when this vote was put through without proper public airing in the first place. So that's the primary disrespect that's taken place this evening. Everyone else in this room has been completely respectful of everyone here. But I did want to point out to everyone here that your president, Donald Trump, will be the first president in history to speak at the March for Life this Friday, and we can all take heart in that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask everyone, there'll be no public demonstrations. We're going to afford the opportunity for everyone to speak. Welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
Commissioners, thank you very much for this opportunity. I know your jobs isn't always easy. One of the things I just wanted to mention today, my name is Barry Doherty. I'm from Oakland, actually from Ortonville. And I just wanted to put a little bit of a hope message out tonight. I'm on the board that runs an organization called Mary's Mantle. And what we do in the Tri-County area is that we basically take in homeless women who are abortion-minded and need an alternative. But the important thing is, and this is where we run our budget on $300,000 a year, which is less than the $500,000 that was awarded to Planned Parenthood. We take that $300,000 over the last 10 years, and we've had more than 80 women, most of them abortion-minded, come through our program, and we help them with their dignity, we help them with learning skills, life skills, job placement, and not only do we do that during the 12 months that they stay in our home facility, but we also take the walk with them for the next 5 years until that child is in school. There are ways of helping these women that desperately need this type of help. Money can be much better spent. And I wanted to share that as a hopeful thing for people to think about. And if there's any possibility, and I know there's a lot of red tape that goes on, that we can remove that funding of $500,000, I would prayerfully consider you at least giving that an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, yes. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Kathy McGuire from Royal Oak, and I just wanted to say something different about abortion, because I worked for 25 years with counseling pregnant women, and abortion is not a good answer. You may think it's a quick, easy thing, but it's not. Many of them become suicidal, they get into drugs, they get into prostitution. They have such a low image of themselves because they can't forgive themselves. And it's really not a help to women. And I think you need to consider that. I talked with one woman in an older generation. She was 74, and she was having trouble with depression, and she said, I've never told anybody this in my life, but when I was 20, I had an abortion. And she was still dealing with it and feeling sad. So I think putting the money to people to give abortion is not helping the mothers. So I hope you will reconsider it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Is there any other person who hasn't had an opportunity to speak, want to address the Board of Commissioners?
Bill Soltze from Oxford Township, property owner, taxpayer, voter. And there's been a lot of great things said here tonight, and I'm not going to try to repeat all of that. But what I've heard and what I'd like to stress again is please reconsider your decision. And frankly, this is my first time ever interacting with the commissioners or the commission. So I'm ignorant. I don't know how you reconsider this. You've made a vote, it's passed. I'm assuming we can still bring it up again. So I'm just here to issue a challenge to those commissioners out there who understand the meaning of life and the sanctity of life. Don't let this moment pass you by. Do whatever it takes to bring this up again, bring it to a vote, get some real public debate, not behind the scenes under the clouds. I'm asking you to do your job and help me to bring this back to a vote again. And let's not just say, okay, they all had their say, now next business. Let's bring this up again.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I am Brandon Colo of Royal Oak. I'm really dismayed to see so many people here tonight that are so angry, and I think a lot of people are angry because the Oakland County GOP sent out an email as a dog whistle today. Stop the county commission, stop them now. Where was the GOP a month ago when this was under consideration? And in that email, it failed to mention that all the good Planned Parenthood does for society. I entered with Planned Parenthood right out of college, and I'm really proud of that because I worked in the public health division. We went around to schools, and I was living in Baltimore at the time, Baltimore, Maryland, and we were talking about how to prevent pregnancies, how to be safe, how to prevent STIs. These are really vital services that Planned Parenthood offers. People don't realize all those services. In addition, there has been a lot of talk about the underserved populations in Oakland County. These are people that can't afford health care, that need help preventing STIs, cancer screenings. Planned Parenthood is vital to them. So I was just really upset to see this email go out that failed to mention that it was this resolution was passed last month with bipartisan support. It wasn't one-sided. So I look forward to you continuing to advocate for those who need help in Oakland County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission? So if you'd like to address the commission, you're more than welcome to come to the mic. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
My name is Ann Waltermeyer. I'm from Hazel Park, and I am kind of disappointed in this commission about how you allow our taxpayer money to go to Planned Parenthood, and I don't want that.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am? The floor is yours.
Yeah, my name is Jolie Montlouis, and I didn't plan on speaking at all, but I'm originally from California, Marin County, and so I really understand the mindset of people who might not think a lot about Planned Parenthood. Years ago, I took a young woman, I was in my early 20s, I think she was a teenager. I drove her to get an abortion. She didn't have anybody to help her, and I didn't really even think much about it. It wasn't until, I've lived many places, it wasn't until I moved to Manhattan, and I learned some things, and I learned about the words of Jesus, and I just wanted to basically say, those who have ears to hear, let them hear.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else who hasn't had an opportunity to speak before public comment, want to address the Board of Commissioners this evening? Going once? Going twice? Thank you very much. I'm going to declare public comment closed. I want to thank everyone who came out to speak. As always, this board will always be a space where people can bring their opinions and their thoughts and their words, and the board is here to listen to them. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next item on our agenda is the nomination and election of vice chairperson. Commissioner McGilvery.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I would like to nominate Marsha Greshenson as our vice chair.
Motion by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Markham, to nominate Marsha Gershenson as vice chairman for the 2020 year. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the nomination of Commissioner Gershenson as vice chair, Commissioners Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Kowal,
No.
Kuhn,
Yes. Yes.
sorry?
He said yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, thank
I
you.
guess you have to.
Can't hear him. Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell,
Hell yes.
Quarles, Spiz,
Yes.
Taub,
No.
Whitebird,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 3 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. Congratulations, Marsha Gershenson, for being re-elected vice chair of this board. It's been lonely up here.
Take your
No,
seat,
come-
madam.
Come take your seat back.
We should have music.
While we're doing that,
Thank you.
I'm going to go to reports of standing committees. First item up is the consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Nelson. Any discussion on any items on the consent agenda? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the consent agenda, Commissioners Jackson, Kokendorfer, Kowal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell,
Yes.
Quarles, Spiz,
Yes.
Taub,
No. Yes.
which is it?
Yes.
Okay. Whitebird,
Yes.
Woodward, Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson, Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The consent agenda before us is adopted. This moves us on to a regular agenda. Commissioner Spiz, you want to take a recess?
I request a 5-minute recess.
There's a request for a 5-minute recess, so let's give it 10 minutes. So we will go in recess, and I'll call us back at 9:55.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Second warning.
Thank you.
But I do need a clerk. There she is.
Yeah, you and me both.
We're going to call the meeting back to order at 10:03, so off by 7 minutes. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call to establish a quorum?
Okay. Calling roll. Commissioners Kokendorfer. Here. Kowal. Here. Kuhn.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lubes. Here. Markham. Here. McGilvray.
Here.
Middleton.
Yeah, here.
Miller. Miller? All right, come back. I feel like saying Miller. Nelson? Here. Powell? Here. Quarles? Here. Spiz?
Here.
Taub?
Here.
Wypert?
Here.
Woodward?
Here.
Zach? Here. Gershenson? Hoffman?
Here.
Jackson? Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
A sufficient number has reestablished a quorum. And here comes the rest of them. Okay, great. So we left off in the regular agenda. We've got, I think, 2 committees to come before us this evening, correct?
Oh.
And that is Economic Growth and Infrastructure and the Legislative Affairs. So I will invite the chair of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee to come forward. I believe there's one item. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you. So read the report out of the Economic Growth Infrastructure, miscellaneous resolution 19416, Board of Commissioners, adoption of responsible contractor and best value bid evaluation standards for construction projects policy.
Moved by Commissioner Miller to adopt the report. Is there a second by Commissioner Zach? Any discussion on that? Seeing none. Discussion on accepting the report?
Oh, no, no.
Right. Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The report is adopted. Commissioner Miller.
So we have the
I
resolution.
think we're going to move the resolution.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. Sorry. Got it. Nope. No
Move the
problem.
resolution.
Commissioner Miller moves the resolution. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner McGilvray. Commissioner Spiz.
Mr. Chair, I move to postpone this to the next scheduled board meeting.
There's a motion to postpone. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Middleton. Motion to postpone. Is that a debatable motion?
Non-debatable,
I think it's non-debatable. isn't
Okay,
it?
I was just going to make a request based on not being critical in nature from a timing standpoint and to allow the commissioners more time to review the information, to request a postponement.
And I think I will not be supporting postponement. So, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The motion to postpone, Commissioners Kowal?
Yes.
Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
No.
Markham?
No.
McGilvray?
No.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
No.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Wypert?
Yes.
Woodward?
No.
Zach?
No.
Gershenson?
No.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson?
No.
Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 9 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient number voted in the affirmative. The motion fails. Brings us back to the main motion. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make an amendment or make a motion for an amendment to miscellaneous resolution 19416, section 4, to change the number in the sentence, price shall not be weighed more than 30%, to change that 30 to 40, and I believe everybody has a copy in front of them.
Per our rules, a copy of that amendment has been distributed to everybody. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Wiper. Any discussion on it? Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For those that did not participate in committee, it is my belief that 30% weight relative to price is way too low. Then you have 70% of everything else that comes into effect other than price when it comes to bidding. So I would like to see that number increased, and I would like to see it increased to 40.
Any other discussion on the amendment? I'll just say that, working with Commissioner Spiz, that I think in committee talked about this. I think there's talk about what this new policy allows for the incorporation of a lot of considerations, and this is a fair compromise that deserves bipartisan support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the vote on the amendment.
On the amendment, Commissioners Kuhn,
No.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell, Quarles, Spiz,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Wiper,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson, Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer, Kowal. Mr. Chair, you have 19 yeas, 1 nay.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the amendment is adopted. That brings us back to the main motion as amended. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Taub.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not going to be voting for the main amendment, main motion rather, because quite frankly, we have not had an opportunity to sit down and read the entire resolution and the entire plan. I don't like it when that happens. I spoke with the administration this evening. They are not in a hurry to have this. It is not time sensitive, okay? It doesn't have to be done this evening. Things could have been read and we could have been permitted the courtesy. It's just simply a word of being courteous to let us have this before 4 o'clock today or 4:30 today, when I think some people got it. We didn't get it in our caucus until our caucus started at 6 o'clock. And we had 2 guest people in and other issues to discuss, and nobody had a time to sit down and read the entire document. They should have been afforded that opportunity. So that is why I'm going to be voting no.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Middleton.
Yes, I'm going to vote no also for this, about the same reason. If you look at the document that was handed to us at 6 o'clock and you read the resolution, the amendment we put on isn't even referred to in the document that was given to us at 6 o'clock, of where you insert this language into the resolution. That's how uninformed that we are on our side on these issues when they come to us at the last minute. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Commissioner. Any other discussion? I guess I'm going to make a comment. This has been a policy that's been in a work with the previous administration, the current administration, a tremendous amount of hours, a lengthy discussion in committee a week ago. I think that there's been plenty of time to put input into it, knowing that a topic of conversation, and I am confident. I think it's been a lot of cooperation and give and take to not just codify some of our best practices that have been in place across various departments, but most importantly to make certain that we produce a product that ensures that all construction projects go to the most responsible bidder, make sure that we have the best companies, we have the best qualified people doing the work, so that we have the best product in the end. And I think it's going to be a model policy that other communities are going to be looking for, and I'm very supportive of. Commissioner Taub for a second time.
Thank you. If it's such a wonderful policy, won't you let us read it? I mean, it came to us at 6 o'clock this evening, okay? Right after you had that committee meeting. So I really don't think it's fair. I don't think it's playing fair. I understand you think it's wonderful. It probably is the best policy that's ever been written in a county in Michigan, but I haven't had the opportunity to read it. Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, seeing no further, God, I love you.
Our second win.
Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, on the resolution. Pardon me?
We're voting on
On
the
the
motion
resolution.
to adopt the policy.
As amended.
As amended.
As amended, miscellaneous resolution 19416. Okay? So on the resolution, as amended, Commissioners Long.
No.
Lubes.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton.
No.
Miller.
Yes.
Nelson. Powell. Quarles. Spiz.
Yes.
Taub.
No.
Wypert.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson. Hoffman.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Kokendorfer.
No.
Kowal.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 14 yeas, 6 nays.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. A sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Next up, we have Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, because there's nothing from Healthy Communities, nor Public Safety and Social Justice or Finance, so one more committee to come before us. Call upon Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one item, and it is a report on the appointment for the Parks and Recreation Commission. The LEGO committee is recommending Amanda Herzog.
So, is there a report? Okay, so Commissioner Quarles moves the report, seconded by Commissioner McGilvray. All in favor of accepting the report, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The report is accepted. Commissioner Quarles moves the appointment of Amanda Herzog to the Oakland County Parks and Rec Commission, seconded by Commissioner McGilvray. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the appointment, Commissioners Lubes.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton.
No.
Miller.
Yes.
Nelson. Powell. Quarles.
Yes.
Spiz.
No.
Taub.
No.
Wypert.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson. Hoffman.
No.
Jackson. Kokendorfer.
No.
Kowal.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Long.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 7 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution, the appointment passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Quarles. That moves us, that's the end, that concludes the regular agenda. That moves us under reports of special committees where there are none. Moves us to special order of business. Commissioner Taub?
I'd like to postpone this till the next meeting, thank you.
Commissioner Taub gives notice on the motion to discharge miscellaneous resolution 19248 to the next meeting. Moves us to unfinished business. There is none. Next is new and miscellaneous business. Commissioner Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to request suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration under new business of the resolution to extend the deadlines for the recommendations of the ad hoc committee on investment of public funds and reauthorization of the list of official depositories.
This is Moved by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. This is the resolution that was passed around to both caucuses. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The rules are suspended. Moved by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner Spiz to the adoption of the resolution. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The resolution, Commissioners Markham? Yes. McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Yes. Powell? Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Wypert?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Hoffman? Jackson? Kokendorfer? Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Chair. Have a miscellaneous resolution. Board of Commissioners, Oakland County welcomes bidders to voluntary pay prevailing wage to contractors and subcontractors who perform county construction work. Refer to economic growth infrastructure.
Referred to without objection.
Thank you.
Where'd you go?
To economic growth and infrastructure.
Aggie.
Hi, Chair. I'd like to request a suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration under new business for miscellaneous resolution 20, designating January 11th, 2020 as National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and January 2020 as Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month in Oakland County.
Motion to suspend the rules by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The rules are suspended. The resolution is moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Spiz to adopt the resolution. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub? Wypert?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Zach? Gershenson? Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Kokendorfer? Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted.
I just want to take a moment to thank our commission and commissioners who have sat on the Human Trafficking Task Force and furthered this effort into what we have now. We're about 5 years old now, and we do a lot of help throughout the county. And I just want to mention 2 programs. One is Sanctum House, and they sit on our Human Trafficking Task Force, and through their outreach program, they educate and bring awareness to the community and reach out to vulnerable youth, parents, and communities and help victims avoid trappings. And they run a 2-year residential program for women 18 years and older to live there and move toward transformation in their lives. And Hope Against Trafficking, they offer a 2-year residential holistic program as well that provides restorative housing and comprehensive services focused on the physical, mental, and economic transformational needs of female survivors of human trafficking. So we want to thank both of those organizations as we continue the fight of this plague. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Spiz.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd like to expand on that. I have the honor of representing Oakland County at a summit at the White House on January 31st, so I think it's a good opportunity to promote the activities we've done as a commission in front of the whole United States. So,
great. Thank you for representing Oakland County. Commissioner Spiz. Commissioner Nelson.
I'd like to introduce a miscellaneous resolution, Board of Commissioners support for Michigan Senate Bill 116 and House Bill 4212, holding polluters accountable. And I'd like to refer it to the Healthy Environment, Healthy Communities Committee.
Referred to without objection.
Thank you. And secondly, I'd like to introduce a miscellaneous resolution, Board of Commissioners require restaurant and food safety inspection reports to be posted on a searchable online database, which I would also like to refer to the Healthy Communities and Environment Committee.
Referred to without objection. Thank you, you, Commissioner. Commissioner Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm requesting immediate suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration. Recognition of January 9th, which sadly passed already, as National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Moved by Commissioner Taub, seconded by Commissioner Spiz to suspend the rules. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The rules are suspended. Commissioner Taub moves the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell, Quarles, Spiz,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Wypert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach, Gershenson, Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson, Kokendorfer, Kowal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
McGilvray. Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Thank you, Commissioner Taub. Any other resolution to be introduced? Seeing none, I'll move us on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Commissioner Miller.
Yes, I laid out in front of everybody construction career days for 2020. I'd ask you to distribute this to your schools. What it is, it brings all the construction fields together at our training site to operate engineers. Last year, I think we had 2,700 children, students out there, and it just gives them the other opportunity, as I call it, the other 4-year degree. You can work, go to school, and live a good life. If on the website here, they will reimburse the schools for fuel costs for the buses. They try to make the least amount of impact on the schools. So, and then also I invite the commissioners, if we want to go out there one of these days, let me know. I could set something up where you can do a tour and everything. So thank you for the time.
I've been to the site. It's pretty amazing. I think we should take a field trip. Any other announcements? Seeing none, any other business? We'll adjourn to February 6, 2020, 9:30 a.m. or at call of the chair. Good night.